Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope everybody's having a good night. Hopefully everybody's staying warm. Hopefully everybody's like enjoying their time with their families. Hopefully everybody's doing good out there. As always, hopefully everybody's doing fine with this whole pandemic going on. The whole coronavirus is happening. Hopefully everybody's safe, sound, everybody's having a good time with their families. And, just everybody stay safe out there. It's everybody hopefully everybody has what they need as far as food, supplies, and hopefully this video kind of takes your mind off the little troubles and worries about the real world, and hopefully we can have fun with this. As always, my name is Juan Rodriguez. I go by Junior, and today we are on pick 3 for the 2020 NFL mock draft. The other two have already been uploaded on this page, so if you want to go and review the other two picks, there will be on this channel here. So without anything else, if there are any questions, this page does have a live chat feed. And also, we do have a live on our sports page on Facebook, which we will drop a link to that on this video. So if you guys want to join in the group. It's a bunch of people who just love their teams. Doesn't matter the sport, everybody just has a good time, and we cover everything from football, basketball, baseball, everything. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. So today it is actually, I think we already have the first question. We do?
From me.
Oh, well, what is it? What's the first question? What?
Explain the back.
Oh, well, the back was basically what my helper over there, Carla, her question is, can you explain the back? Well, for people that don't know me, I was in the Army, for a little bit. Did that as a little fun time gig. I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, as you can tell, with Airborne and Air Assault. Let me see here with the 101st Airborne Division. It was fun. I was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I was part of the 2nd Brigade of Battalion 526, Bravo Company. Mad Bulls. Yeah, baby. So, a little shout out to Fort Campbell. Love you guys. Make sure you guys are good. And, everybody that I did serve with, you already know it. Love you guys. Make sure you guys are safe out there. And I'm praying for you guys too, wherever you guys shall be. So now let's get started. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions today. Detroit. So, well, I guess what we could start off with is, from top to bottom, we have to really start with Matt Patricia. He came in, trying to pick up where Jim Schwartz kind of left off in a sense. It wasn't really working with Jim Schwartz, and now a couple seasons in now with Matt Patricia, it's looking like it's not going anywhere either. I mean, not to sound like a jerk, but I mean, like the great Bill Parcells says, you are what your record says you are, and right now they're not doing anything. I look at Detroit and I look at this team; they are all over the board. What I mean by that is their draft picks last year were really just picking all over the board. I have no idea what was going on there. And for example, we're going to start with the first rounder, which was the tight end TJ Hawkinson. Prior to that, they did let go of Eric Ebron and they were going to try to replace him with TJ. Now, TJ did have a good start to his rookie campaign, but then somewhere in the middle of the season, he started to fizzle out. Then he would have a good game, then back into the shadows, then another good game. So, really, just an up and down roller coaster. I really don't know what the whole point of releasing Eric Ebron was. I understand he was your first rounder 3, 4 years ago. It wasn't working out. I get it, but I mean, you're gonna draft a. Not to say that he wasn't worth the first round talent because he was coming out of Iowa, But the thing was, he wasn't as athletic as Eric Ebron. So if it didn't work out with Ebron, I don't know how it's gonna work out with Hawkinson. So that was the first one. Then you go to the second rounder. They drafted a linebacker out of Hawaii, Jelani Tavai. Hopefully, I didn't butcher his name, but that was sort of like a surprise pick. Like, okay, like because prior to that, he had a fourth, fifth round grade on him. I mean, it's cool. I'm never gonna knock a team for drafting players where they were drafted because they strongly believe it. But that was one of the picks where it was kind of like, okay, like, yeah, he's really good tackler, really good everything. It's just for your second rounder, you kind of want more than just a good tackler. It's just, but he's, like I said, he's a rookie. He just finished his rookie campaign, so we'll see. And then what I mean by that, when I was pointing to earlier was all over the board. They went tight end, linebacker, safety, and then they went to Austin Bryant, the fourth member of that legendary Clemson's defensive line from the national championship a couple of years ago when Clemson did beat Alabama in Santa Clara, the 49er stadium, Levi Stadium. And, that defensive line had everything. Christian Wilkins, Colin Farrell, Austin Bryant, he was sort of like the fourth member of that team, or that group. But, I thought that was a good pickup. I mean, yeah, you get a good player in the fourth round. Now, it really didn't show because all the attention went to, Trey Edwards, who they got, or Trey Flowers, excuse me, Trey Flowers, who they got from New England. And, it was just, they were just all over the place. Matt Patricia and that whole staff, they really don't seem like they have a plan. Like, you look at other teams and you're like, okay, this is their plan. The Lions, they really just have no plan, like, at all. Like, we don't know what they're thinking. They're sort of the wild card, and it's a perfectly good reason why they're picking three. They just went all over the board, and now we don't know what they're gonna do. Matthew Stafford's not getting any younger. Golden Tate's gone. Kenny Galladay's a heck of a receiver, so you got that going for you. You have no running game. Your offensive line is actually, their offensive line is really well. It's really well, other than the fact that they did lose Graham Glasgow. He just recently signed with Denver on a 5-year deal, so they have to replace that. But this team has no identity. They're all over the board. Matt Patricia is just, he's looking like he was not fit at this time to be a head coach in the NFL, so, and that's the thing, everybody thought about it that he was. It's just, unfortunately, he came from the Bill Belichick tree, and everybody's like, oh, well, if he, was under Bill Belichick, he must be good. That's not always the case. We've seen it plenty of times when any sport, just because you work with the guy doesn't mean, you can be the guy. It's just not how it works. Sometimes the old saying goes, sometimes some people were just meant to be coordinators and some people were meant to be coaches. I believe that if this year goes down the drains again, he probably will be looking for another job as a defensive coordinator. So, all that being said, the line is just all over the board. They have needs. They have needs at running back. They have needs at a little bit of offensive line help. Quarterback's getting older. They have no wide receiver. The tight end is a question mark, even still, after drafting a first rounder, which is something that you don't want to hear coming from your first rounder. So, and then we switched to the defensive side. This was a very interesting week for Detroit defensively. They traded arguably one of the best corners in the NFL in Darius Slay. I get it. People are probably going to look at it like, oh, well, Pro Football Focus said he was the 83rd. It's like, not to question it, but those guys just really just go by numbers. They really don't look at film, and I'm not knocking them. That's just my opinion. They just go by numbers, and that's their job. That's their whole main purpose. But they don't see. I would believe that they don't see actual film on it. It's Darius Slay is a really good corner, and Philadelphia for getting him for a third and a fifth, I think it's a steal. I think it's one of the steals, which is crazy week for free agency. This isn't the steal of the free agency. I mean, that belongs to Arizona stealing DeAndre Hopkins for a fourth, from Houston, which, that's all on Bill O'Brien, but Houston will be a little later, so we'll get to that. But for now, Darius Slay being traded to Philadelphia for a third and a fifth, that was a steal. The Eagles needed secondary help. They didn't know what was going to happen when it was their turn to pick again, so they figured if, he's not happy there, we'll get him off your back. We'll sign him to the contract that you don't want to, which is fine. Eagles have the cap space. They have that need. Take care with, take care of your problems right there. So what was more interesting about Darius Slade being traded was the fact that it wasn't that he was traded out of Detroit, because he loved Detroit. He loved playing for the Lions. He loved the fans. He loved playing for the fans. The problem was, again, the main focus of this team, Matt Patricia, and this is all credit to First Take. They already did the interview with Darius Slay a couple days ago, and he went on First Take, and he said it like how it was meant to be said. He didn't mind being coached as a player, but he questioned him as a coach, saying he tested his manhood a little bit, by going into team meetings and saying that, hey, he said something on social media, which I always found bogus, because for me, it's whatever a player wants to do on his free time, do on your free time. It doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Because whether you want to play or not, you'll know. You'll know if a player wants to play or not, because it's not going to take long. He's either going to study or he's going to be, like John Gruden says, you're either going to rise to the occasion or you're going to be one of those deals. So, I love that saying, which is true. The NFL really does stand for not for long, but Darius Slay has proven that he does belong. He should be paid as a top corner. And for him to go on First Take and say, that they question his manhood, Matt Patricia and him never saw eye to eye, calling him out, that's kind of like what the culture is right now. I truly believe, well, not just in sports, but in everything, whether it's your job, everything. The reflection on how you're going to work is the reflection on your leadership. And if your leadership sucks, you're going to have a sucky attitude. And that's what I believe happened. He just he wanted to play for Detroit, just not for the man that runs Detroit right now. So right now, hey, first comment, Julian Garcia, my big bro. Hey, glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. A little late to the party, but it's all good, man. But that's what I believe. He did want to play for Detroit. He did want to be a Lion. He just didn't want to play for the man running the Lions. And it's a shame, really. It is a shame loss for Detroit, because they did lose a good player who was going to be a foundation, a key piece to trying to turn it around. But like I said, I just don't see it. I don't see what they're doing. I don't see what's going on. So, another thing too with this whole team is they have cap now. They have cap, and they should be doing more. They should have tried to retain Glasgow, the guard that they lost to Denver. I don't know what's going on in Detroit. I don't know if maybe ownership and coaches aren't seeing eye to eye. It is going to be the third year of this tenure. And right now, from what it's sounding like, none of the players are sounding happy from what Darius Slay is saying. This is all on him. This is just from my take on what he said on ESPN's First Take. He just wasn't happy. The players around are a little uneasy. They're a little like they don't want to do much. They'll play, but they're really not playing for him. They're just trying to play for the sake of playing the game, which is a recipe for disaster. And like I said, I don't think Matthew Stafford signed up for this, so a lot of players probably didn't sign up for this, but other than that, the promising thing is for Detroit is, Kenny Golladay. He's a really good wide receiver. Um, Terrell Crosby, the left tackle, he's really well balanced. There's always room for upgrade, but honestly, he's a really young, good left tackle, and I think little by little he'll improve. I wish I can talk about anything else, but that's just the position that Detroit's in right now. There's really nothing to talk about Detroit. They're all over the board. They're so imbalanced, or unbalanced, I should say. Like, there's no identity, there's no this, there's no trust, and honestly, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, and I hope they can turn it around, because Detroit, every team deserves to have some type of hope. I believe every team deserves to have some type of hope, but when you have certain players going on TV interviewing the next day, you know, that, hey, this is just what it was, and he's calling out his head coach on live television. I can't imagine what the rest of the guys are thinking too. So, hopefully they turn it around, because I doubt those guys want to go through another coaching change in such a short time. So, you know, with that being said, as I said, this is Detroit. It is now time for what I believe would be the third selection in the 2020 NFL Draft. All right. So, in this mock draft, what I believe when the commissioner goes up to the podium with the third pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jeffrey Okuda, cornerback, Ohio State. That's right, guys. Back to back Ohio State players. It just shows you how talented those guys really are. So, and yes, Joanne, yes, Carla, on point. Carla's really on point. He's giving you props. You see that? He loves you. But yes, Jeffrey. Okay, the Ohio State. My bad. My bad. Jeffrey Okuda, the Ohio State. Look, Detroit has a lot of needs, but you just traded one of you possibly your best player on the team, which was Darius Slay. So Jeffrey Okuda, I know he's the best corner. He's probably one of the best corners I've seen coming out of college in a really long time. Looking at his film, there's really not a lot of flaws. There's really not. Now, people are going to look at the combine and, they're going to see his gauntlet. They're going to see his drills. And it's like, yeah, he has hip flexibility. He has good hands. But the thing is, it's like he really didn't show that he was the best corner. And you know what? That's not necessarily true. He didn't have to prove it. He just did it because, he's just a competitor and he wants to be the best. And sometimes, you win some, you lose some. But that didn't hurt his stock at all. He was the best corner coming out of this draft anyway. So, for example, looking at his combine stats, 4.48 40, which is really good. 11 bench presses, which necessarily tells you majority of the time he's a man, but he's an off man corner. And I think that's where a lot of people get mistaken or they don't understand the difference. A press man is really when you have a strong set of hands and you can just chuck the receiver on the line of scrimmage and pace with him. An off man is you're going to use your athletic ability to try to stay with him step for step. He has that. He has that athletic ability to do that. And, vertical 41 inches off the ground, and that's impressive. And then broad jump 11 inches, that's impressive. That's really impressive. So he's everything you're looking for in a man corner. Now, it would have been great if him and Darius Slay played out, or played together. It just didn't play out that way. And that happens. It's the NFL. Trade's going to happen all the time. It's just a shame that he couldn't learn from one of the best on the team right now. But he has a chance to make it happen. And, I've heard certain people, there's certain sports media say that, a corner at 3, that's not a game changer. That's not a, corners aren't supposed to be that valued high. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, yeah, that's your opinion. You get paid for it, to have that opinion. That's fine. It's just, if you were to tell me, if you were to go in that draft and it's your pick and Deion Sanders is on the board and you believe that a corner should not be that high, then hell, I'll take him. I'll take him at 4. You want to pass him up at 3? I'll pass him up. You pass him up. I'll take Deion at 4. That's fine. I mean, everybody has their own opinion. It's just some opinions just, sound a little crazy or outlandish when they talk about it. But back to it. Jeffrey Okuda, he's just, what can I say? He's just one of the better corners I've seen coming out. I mean, last year, I think he only gave up 5 yards a catch. I mean, if you caught it, if the receiver, I'm not saying that the kid is prime. It's just, some people think that a corner should not be picked that high. So, going back to it, he only allowed 5 yards a catch when he did allow a catch, which was very not many. He had no pass interference calls. He had no holding calls. What can I say? The kid's just phenomenal. He showed it. He proved it that he deserves to be the third best prospect in this draft. Now, whether people think that, no, we shouldn't waste the pick on a corner at 3 that high. I mean, remember this, guys. A corner can help you a lot. If you have a true number one, it kind of does help you in a sense of, hey, I have this guy covered. So really, you only have to worry about the 10 other guys. You know what I mean? And that's fine. That's fine with me. I'll take that. I'm sure anybody would take a true number one corner and lock him down. I mean, if that's what it takes. But other than that, I mean, Jeffrey Okuda at number three, I think it's a perfect time for Detroit. I mean, now as far as the rest of the draft for them, they just have so many needs that they can go anywhere. They can go offensive lineman. They can go wide receiver too. The class is deep, and I'm going to keep saying that. The class is deep, and in this draft, if you really need a wide receiver, you're going to get them early. But if wide receiver is like your second or top need, it's not a big deal. You can get one in the second that has first round value. It happens. It happens every year. Been watching drafts for a long time, and there's always players that fall in the second round that believe that were first rounders, and they just fell to the second. That's just how it plays out. But in this instance, at pick number three, I believe, yeah, Jeffrey Okuda from the Ohio State deserves to be a Detroit Lion. I think he will do wonders there. And, right now, it might not look like a smart decision there, but what do you got to lose? I mean, really, what do you got to lose? And, if you're Matt Patricia, why wouldn't you want the best corner coming out of the draft? So, with that being said, I thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We'll do a Q&A after the video. We'll also put up the sports page on this website. So if you guys want to join, that'll be great. Other than that, everybody have a good night. Be safe out there.